Hey guys, welcome back to our fourth video, and in this video we'll see how we can build an API in Deno. Okay guys, so as you can see, I'm completely starting up with a new file from scratch, and what we'll do in this video is that we'll build a couple of APIs. I'll show you an example of a get and a post API. Our API will basically retrieve a particular user and add new users using post. So without further ado, let's get started. Now, if you have already worked on Node, you must have a user framework to build REST APIs, and rather than not, it's always Express. In Deno as well, we'll use a framework called as Oak. It's similar to Express, so it should be pretty easy for you to get familiar with. So I'll just hop over to its repo, the third-party module, as you can see, and let's just import it right away into our application. Next, we'll initialize our application just like how we do in Express. Now I'll simply say app.listen port 3000. So this should be enough to get our server up and running, but although in Oak it won't work because we are not providing any routes yet. So to do that, I'll just go over here and create a new directory called as routes. This is where all our routes will go, and within which I'll create a new file, user.ts. So Oak also provides us with a router class. So we'll simply import the router class and then initialize it. You might be noticing it's very similar to Express in Node.js. Next, what we'll do is we'll declare a map of users. So we are not going to connect to any database in this tutorial, so we'll just keep a temporary variable that will handle the users within the memory. We'll define the user as a map with string and any as the parameters. So the reason I'm doing this is because it's much more easier to operate on this map rather than an array. Now let's set a temporary user in this. One. Put in an ID and a name. Next, we'll build an API which will help us fetch this user. We can do that with our router instance that we have initialized over here. We'll keep it at user ID. So when you're passing something with a semicolon, with a colon, that basically means that this will be available as a parameter in your context. I'll explain you what are contexts in a bit. So in this API, what we basically need to do is we'll take this ID as a parameter, and then we'll query our user set for this requested ID, and if the user exists, we have to give the successful response. Context will help us with the request and response details, and also help us send out the response, set headers, and so on. Context.response, because I want to send out a response. body equals user dot get. Now we need to pass this parameter id into this function. Params dot. Now if you see, this is giving a red line. This is because TypeScript compiler is seeing that this params could possibly be undefined, and this would end up into a runtime error. So to go away with this error, we'll have to add certain checks before this. So let's just do that. So to be able to use this router in other files, we'll have to export it. So let's just do that. Now let's head over to our app.ts and import the file over there. And now simply use it as a middleware. Routes. And we will also have to add router.allow methods to allow all the methods. Okay. So now our app is ready and it's time to test it out. So I'll be using Deno to run our app, which we had installed in one of our previous tutorials. Let's just run. And since it's going to use network, we'll have to pass the allow net flag. Okay, let's head over to the browser and see if our app is working. Localhost 3000 user/1. If you see, it retrieves the correct data from our user set. Jendo. So let's just try and pass a wrong parameter, and it gives us a 404 response, which is correct. I'll just copy paste this piece of code from one of the time where I have already done it, and let's just go over it of what we are doing. So we have declared a post route as user. We are giving it an async because we'll have to use await inside to retrieve the body. We are adding checks that the body exists, and then we get the body in this variable. So now index is basically nothing but the size of the set plus 1. So whenever we are inserting a new user, we'll insert it with a plus 1 of the existing size. We get the new user in this variable and then simply set it to our user set. And then finally we send out a response with the index of the user and the value that is inserted. Pretty simple enough. So now let's try and execute this API and see what happens. So to execute a post API, I'll be using Postman. You can download it from the official website. It's the most popular tool for testing out any API. So our API is post. Set the method as post over here. Enter the URL of your API. Localhost 3000/user. Then let's add the body that we want to add. Now I'm trying out this API and let's see what happens. Okay, so our API gave a successful response stating that the user is inserted and the index is 2. Now let's try and retrieve this user with index 2 and see if it is being added correctly. User 2, send. There you go, you get the correct response. Hey guys, so that's it for this video. This video just gave you a sneak peek on how to build an API in Deno. In our next video, we'll see how we can connect to a MongoDB database. Thank you.